with Ngā Kumuhura, Lehua Ka'u Kukui, and Pualani Muraki, and Halau Unuehu. And they're going to be doing a presentation on Tu Mo'olelo of Kona, and it's entitled Ko Aloha La Ea, Keep the Love. So can we have a warm round of applause to welcome them?
Okay. Okay, aloha mai kākou. It was supposed to be Tu Mo'olelo of Kona, but I think this Mo'olelo is going to probably take up all the time. And if we run early, then our dancers will just dance for you.
Yeah.
So I'm Lehua, and this is Pualani, and we want to mahalo. We want to mahalo the park, actually. Pu'uhonua, Honaunau, and Kanani'inos, and everybody here for inviting us here to be with you. This is our third year that we are presenting, and when we present, we try and keep in line with the theme of the festival. And I believe this year's theme of the festival is E Mauna Mo'olelo, am I correct? Something like that, which means let the stories live into eternity. Okay? And so when I saw the theme, I was thinking, okay, what story are we going to share with you today? Because there's so many. And so I chose one that I hope you enjoy today. And so we titled our presentation, Malama Aloha, Be Enlightened in Love. Our clicker was not working, so I have to give the sign. Okay, so the word is me'e. Everybody say me'e.
Me'e.
One more time, me'e.
Me'e.
Okay. And so what is a me'e? Does anyone here know what the definition of me'e is, besides my halal? Okay, you can change the slide. Me'e is the Hawaiian word for hero. Okay? And according to dictionary.com, I'm going to read the definition for you. In fact, I got to take this out. Sorry. Okay. The noun is a person who is admired or idealized for courage. Idolized. Outstanding achievements or noble qualities. The chief character in a book, play, or movie, who is typically identified with good qualities and with whom the reader sympathizes or identifies with. Now, keep that in mind. Identifies with. Okay? Or a person of superhuman qualities and often semi-divine origin in mythology and folklore. So now I'm going to ask, and you can change the slide, Kanani Mahalo. I'm going to ask, who is your me'e and why? And then you can answer, my me'e is blank, so-and-so, whoever, because. Yeah. So now we'd like to hear a bit from the audience. And let's see. We have a family in the front here, in the middle, from New Jersey. I'd like to ask you, do you have any me'e?
I do.
Yeah, okay. And who is your me'e and why?
My me'e is my third grade teacher, Mrs. Doyle, because my family moved to a new town when I was in third grade in the middle of the school year, and I felt totally lost, and she made me feel completely connected to us as students, even though we were making cultivate. And since then, I have always been very mindful that when you come into a room or a community, to be that person.
Awesome. So third grade teacher, moved to a new town. Teacher made cousin here feel, yeah, that she was connected to everyone immediately. Awesome. You know, and when teachers can do that, yeah, you'll remember them for life. Yeah. Okay, anybody else want to share who their me'e is? Akoni.
All right, so.
Would you like a mic?
Oh, I gotta talk to the king too now.
Everyone, this is Akoni Nelson.
Aloha.
Yeah, so my me'e is Maui. No Kamea, Maui in his story, he fishes out the islands. And that metaphorically means he's elevating his community as he's being elevated as the chief. And so this is the reason why my reflection is, I like being like Maui. I like elevate my community just as he did as well. So.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Would anyone else like to share who their me'e is?
Pele for me.
Who?
Pele.
Oh, okay.
Tutu Pele.
So this cousin here in the front says that his me'e is Pele. And who is Pele?
The goddess of fire, creation, and destruction.
The goddess of fire, creation, and destruction.
I've been to 7 eruptions out of the last 26, and the last 3 have just reshaped me as a human being,
Yeah.
giving me a deep connection to the land and the spirit.
And you know, she has been very, very active lately.
She's been amazing.
And so why is Pele your me'e?
Well, after episode 26, I sat on Kilauea Caldera after the fountains quit and watched the koe kea birds just frolic and play in the breeze. It was blowing across the caldera, and it was just such a pure sense of freedom and
It
spirit.
sounds magical.
Yeah, it was so
Magic.
phenomenal. And nobody was there. Everybody left. I had the whole park to myself. I was alone when I turned around.
Wow.
And I just had tears in my eyes. I get tears when I talk about it.
And you know, the thing about Pele and the stories of Pele, you know, we dance many of those mo'olelo or stories of Pele. And Pele actually teaches you how to act, how to behave. Yeah, what to do and what not to do.
A true kuleana for the aina.
Yeah, true kuleana and a true, yeah, kupuna. Yeah, aumakua.
For sure.
Mahalo for that. Anybody else? Okay, we've had heard from somebody on this side. What about anyone here? Yes.
It's just going to be really brief.
Okay.
My me'e is Queen Lili Kuokalani. She was our last reigning queen. And just in a nutshell, she left her land for our destitute Hawaiian children. And so we have our children's center here today. And we're promoting our Hawaiian children.
Hi, mahalo. Queen Liliuokalani, the last queen, reigning queen of Hawaii, before the overthrow, and she was actually imprisoned in her own palace, in Iolani Palace in Honolulu. And yeah, so mahalo for that. Okay, so mahalo nui to everyone who shared about your me'e, and if if you want to share, by all means, you can raise your hand and you can share anytime. Next slide. Well, this is what we wanted to share with you, is that, well, two of our me'e from our halau. The first one, his name is Keaua Kuamoʻo, also known as Ka'iwi Kuamo'o o Kuamoʻo. And he was the son of Kamehameha the Great, Kamehameha Ekahi. He was the son of Kamehameha Ekahi's brother, Keli'i Maika'i. Okay, so he's one of our me'e. And then next slide. And his wife, Manono. So everybody say, Ke Kua Okalani.
Ke Kua Okalani.
One more time. Ke Kua Okalani.
Ke Kua Okalani.
Manono.
Manono.
Okay. And yeah, wife of Ke Kua Okalani. Next slide, please. So a bit of history of Ke Pu'uhonua and Manono, and we're gonna history, just history for the books. We're gonna take you back to the year 1782. Which is 243 years ago. I actually had to bust out my calculator and calculate. So following the death of the king of Hawaii Island at that time, and his name was King Kalaniʻopuʻu, who was Kamehameha's uncle, the kingship of Hawaii Island was given to Kalaniʻopuʻu's son, Kivala'o. Okay? However, the feathered god, right there, feathered god, and the feathered god, the name of the feathered god is Kuka'ilimoku, was given to Kamehameha. Okay? So one more time, just put that imagery in your brain. Kalaniʻopuʻu, before he passes in 1782, gives the kingship of the island to Kivala'o, but gives the feathered god to Kamehameha. Okay? And what does that mean when you give the feathered god to a person? Well, it means that all of this responsibility, which we call kuleana, all of the responsibility that comes along with that feathered god goes to that person, and it went to Kamehameha. And so all of the traditional spiritual and religious practices that were performed during that time on our sacred spaces, in our temples, and in our sacred spaces was given to Kamehameha, which is a huge responsibility. Because the person that receives all of that kuleana has to actually know what are the religious rites, what are the prayers that go along with all of these different rites, what are the celestial times, you know, of the seasons that mark certain ceremony on our temples or our heiau. So it's a huge, huge responsibility, okay? And so, okay, so moving forward, now you know that Kamehameha actually battled with his cousins and then gained control of Hawaii Island, and then eventually went on to unite all of the Hawaiian Islands under one rule, which was his rule. Okay? Did you know that? My ka'i. So in May of 1819, now we're jumping way forward now. Kamehameha is done with his battles. He's united all of the islands. He's turned all of, like Kona, from Kailua all the way down to Honaunau, which we are here, into this huge field system, a planting system to feed the people. That's just one of his great feats. But anyway, now he is an old man in 1819. And he's weak, and he is actually getting ready to transition into the next realm. And so before he transitions, he actually gives the kingship, the same thing that happened to him, he gives the kingship of the islands to his son, Liholiho. Okay? But the feathered god, with all of those responsibilities, went to Ke Pu'uhonua. Okay? So you can change slide. Okay, so there's kind of like the visual. So that's Liholiho at the top right. And then he was given the kingship of the islands. And then Ke Pu'uhonua on the bottom, given the war god, the feathered god, Kuka'ilimoku. But then at that time, though, after Kamehameha's passing, Liholiho was under the influence of different outside forces, okay? Different outside forces. You had two of his mothers. You had his biological mother, Pu'uhonua, here. You had the regent mother, or the queen regent, Ka'ahumanu, who was Kamehameha's, they say, Kamehameha's favorite wife, Ka'ahumanu. So just know that when a great ali'i like Kamehameha passes away, kapu, the religious strictness of rites, is relaxed at that time, okay? So when the kapu are all relaxed during the passing away of an ali'i, then men and women are free to eat together, and the strictness of the temple ceremonies are relaxed at that time, okay? And then because of these different outside forces that were coming into Hawaii, that were influencing Ka'ahumanu and Pu'uhonua, they decide that they want to just do away with the traditional way of doing things. They just want to get rid of it. And so Pu'uhonua refuses. Okay, and then I think you can go to the next slide. I don't know, I've lost my place here in the notes. Yeah, and so Pu'uhonua refuses, and in December of 1819, so Kamehameha, wait, does he pass away in May? Or, yeah. And then by December, okay, so Kamehameha passes away in May of 1819. And then by December, there's all this rabble-rousing that's going on. Because you have this one faction of Liho wanting to abolish the kapu system, and then you have the smaller faction of Pu'uhonua who wants to uphold the traditional ways. And so remember all of those responsibilities that go along with that. So Pu'uhonua and Manono took that responsibility very, very seriously. Because this was the same thing that happened to Kamehameha. And then Kamehameha went on, right, to unite all of the Hawaiian islands. And so, so by December of 1819, this battle broke out between the two factions. And of course, Pu'uhonua's faction was much, much smaller than Liho's. And Liho actually had firepower from outside forces. They had musket rifles, they had cannons on their side. Pu'uhonua did have some muskets as well, but not the firepower that Liho had. Okay? So in December of 1819, Pu'uhonua was down here at Ka'avaloa with his group. And Ka'avaloa is where the Captain Cook monument is located. How else can you describe Kealakekua Bay? Anyway, so Pu'uhonua here, and then Liho was in Kailua, okay, in Kailua Kona. And Liho actually invited Pu'uhonua to come to Kailua, and let's make some diplomacy, you know, and let's try and settle this. But in settling, Liho actually still wanted to abolish the old ways, and Pu'uhonua wouldn't hear it. And so Liho said, I will send canoes to come and get you at Ka'avaloa, and you can get on the canoe, come to Kailua, let's sit down, let's talk about it. But Ke Kuokalani said in his response that, no, I will not travel on your canoe. I will go overland to where you are located. And that response of marching overland to come north to Kailua, Liho took that as the acknowledgement that Ke Kuokalani would never acquiesce to that. And so they said, okay, now we need to just wipe them out. We need to take them out, okay? And so Ke Kuokalani's group started, and they actually did walk overland all the way from Ka'avaloa to that where the red dot is over there, and and then the Battle of Kuamo'o was fought. Okay, and this is not something that's told in our history books. You know, in schools here with our keiki, with our children, this is not something that's taught in schools, and I don't know why, because it should be taught. You know, that's just our manao, that's our thought anyway. But yeah, so close to Leke is the battlefield, and then a huge battle broke out between the two factions. And so, yeah, you can see they have muskets, and then Ke Kuokalani was shot. And they say that he was actually shot in the leg, which wounded a major artery of his, and which made him start to bleed out. And so he fell to the ground. And then Manono saw that her husband was there on the ground, and there are accounts that people could hear Manono calling out to Ke Kuokalani, saying, "Malama ko aloha, malama ko aloha, malama ko aloha." And if you recall, that's the title of our presentation, to be enlightened in love. So even though there was, you know, all of this fighting, and they're all cousins too, fighting going on between the cousins, and Manono knew that Ke Kuokalani was severely wounded in battle and probably will transition into the realm of the ancestors. What she was reminding him was to remember the love, be enlightened in love, and take that energy of love with you into the next realm, okay? And so I think that's something that we all could remember when we transition, when it's our time to transition. And like, yeah, I'm just totally lost on my notes here. Okay. So yeah, Malama ko aloha, chanted by Chiefess Manono as she fell upon Ke Kuokalani. Can you go back to the last slide, please? And so everybody say Malama.
Malama
Ko
ko
aloha.
aloha.
Yeah.
Malama ko aloha.
Malama ko aloha. So, breaking apart the word malama, ma is like a preposition or a locational, okay? It indicates direction. Ma is in, on, or at. And sometimes, and then you know, for people who are kama'aina to this area, to Hawaii, you know, we say mauka, makai, you know, that's like directionals. Mauka to the mountains, makai to the ocean. That's that ma, okay? And then lama means light, okay? Lama means light or to be enlightened. And it's also a type of tree that grows in the dryland forest, and that is kino lau, which is a body form of our hula goddess Laka, goddess, because of the duality of nature that's in each one of us as well. Yeah, we have both female and male within us.
That's awesome.
And so that's basically, when you take that word malama apart, That's what it means, is to be in that space of enlightenment. Okay? And that's what Manono was yelling, calling to Ke Kuo'okalani, Malama, Malama ko Aloha. And so now our halau have learned this chant in honor of Manono and Ke Kuo'okalani, and they would like to do it for you. In this day and age, and how do I connect with my me'e? With our two me'e? Okay? And next. So both of them stood for their beliefs. Okay? And honoring them reminds us of the power of conviction and the importance of standing for what we believe in. So then I ask myself, can I stand with conviction? Can I stand in the power of what I believe in? And the answer is, of course, yes. Can you stand with conviction for what you believe in? Yes. Aye, mahalo. And I want to point out, as we were changing in the office up there, that we were talking about the days on the Mauna, which was the struggle that happened on Mauna Kea. And I have to say, I want to acknowledge my cousins who are here today, who stood in conviction, in the power of conviction, for what they believed in for, 7 months? They stayed 7 months in a tent on the Mauna, and they're here today. Can you stand up? They were actually arrested. And then it was just, it was declared like null and void in court. Yeah. So anyway, so mahalo to my cousins. They represent resistance against erasure. And their resistance was not just a battle. It was a stand against erasure of Hawaiian identity, of Hawaiian religion, our spirituality, and our sovereignty. So then can I ask myself, can I stand against the erasure of my identity? Of course, we have to. Nobody wants to erase your identity.
Everyone has to.
They inspired courage. Their bravery in the face of overwhelming odds encourages us to act with strength when facing our own struggles. So in our daily lives, each of us has faced struggles in our own daily lives that we've had to overcome, that we've had to make sacrifices for. So that's what it means. They're symbols of cultural pride. They challenge historical invisibility. They connect us to our ancestral wisdom. They continue to teach us about the cost, the huge cost of change, and they are role models of integrity. Well, that's what Ke Kuo'okalani and Manono mean to us. And so I just wanted to mention also that on May 3rd, just last month, May 3rd, through the Repatriation Act, when Ke Kuo'okalani and Manono went into battle, Ke Kuo'okalani was wearing that cape, that feathered cape, ahu'ula. Everybody say ahu'ula. Ahu'ula. That's the feathered cape. And after Ke Kuo'okalani fell, the cape was taken off of his person, and then it fell into the hands of private collectors, along with the kuka'ilimoku, or the feathered god. Both of those fell into the hands of private collectors, but good thing they were benevolent, and they actually donated both of those. The kuka'ilimoku went to the Peabody Museum in Boston, Massachusetts. And then the ahu'ula ended up at Smithsonian in the special collections. And so they have cared for our treasures for all of these years, for over 200 years. But through the Repatriation Act, on May 3rd, those two items, those two treasures of ours, came home. Auntie Lolly and I were there at the airport to welcome our treasures home, along with many, many other people from different backgrounds, from different halal, from different schools. And yeah, so it was an honor to be there to welcome them home. They are now being housed at the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park because they need to be in temperature-controlled environment. And good thing they have a facility up there until the time when we can prepare to bring them out into the public view. Yeah. So, and then just that alone, being there at the airport to welcome them home, inspired my husband to create his version of the Kuka'ilimoku, or the feathered god, and so that's who you see standing over there. Yes. Okay, yes, next. And hopefully this works now. And so, so what I'm actually trying to get at is that we see our me'e as something separate and apart, like away from us. But actually, when we actually talked about it, they did this. Can I do this? They did that. Can I do that? And I heard an overwhelming yes and nod of head in here. And so I'd like to play for you a video that I found on YouTube. And hopefully it works because I'm told the internet is not the strongest signal here. But if you'd like to follow along with the words that this person is going to sing, you can actually scan the QR and then follow along the words as you watch the video. Wait, let's give everyone like a moment to scan. I'm scared. But something happened that actually she gave her the courage to come out from behind that song stand. Did anybody notice what that was? The guy in the back? Did you see the guy in the back? Yeah, when he stood up. You know, in other videos that I've watched of Keala singing this song, she sings the whole thing. She goes through. So this was really, really early in the movie, in the production of the movie. So the guy that stood up and sung with all of the power of his na'au gave her the courage. Yeah, I can do this. I can come out from behind that song stand and come into my full being. And yeah, that's the story of Pere and Hi'iaka as well. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so this is words from that song. This is me, and this is all of us. Step out. He said, that man in the beginning that was interviewing her, he said, step out, Keala. This is your moment. Step out into the metaphoric ring and just do it. Come into your full being. Can we do that too?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we can. We are glorious. We all, each and every single one of us here are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, gonna send the blood and just gonna drown them out, those words. Yeah. Okay. Next. So this is another quote that I found. It was like anonymous online. The journey of a hero never ends, as each act of bravery creates ripples that change the world forever. And it was anonymous, and I was like, I don't know who said this, but it's beautiful, so I'm gonna put it into this slide deck, yeah. And then next. And there was one last song that I wanted to leave you with that I believe it's Mariah Carey that sings this song, and that we want to leave you with, that actually the hero lies in you. Okay?